All right, welcome to Insert Innovation. I'm your host, Benjamin Janey, and today we're here with Ivory Sully. Ivory, we usually like to start these interviews by having our guests talk a little bit about their background. Obviously, we have a small segment in here, so we'll have to just, do more of a condensed version of your resume. But can you let the guests know who you are and a little bit about your background in sports and then also in fashion?
Right, and that's the platform that I come from, is the sports platform. I went to the University of Delaware, and I was fortunate enough to play football at the school. And after 4 years at Delaware, I was signed to a free agent contract by the Los Angeles Rams. And surprise be surprise, I made it. I made the roster. And I ended up playing for 9 years. And 6 years with the Rams, 2 years with Tampa Bay, and 1 year with Detroit. And through that experience, it really gave me an opportunity to reach into what it was about to be a player in the National Football League. I was the member of the NFLPA. I was the actual spokesperson for the Rams, for the NFLPA. We went through 2 strikes in 1982 and 87, which set the table for these guys getting paid what they're getting paid right now, which is crazy right now, right? Yeah. Well, I was part in setting that table, and I'm really quite proud of that, because that really shows. And then after that, you have to find out what you want to do that is not your absolute dream job. And your dream job, mine being football or playing sports, it was over. Right. So what do you do? Right. So I decided to go ahead and make a pair of elastic waist, elastic bottom, pants that had print on them, and I went and I sold, millions of those stupid things. It was like, they were crazy, they were wild a little bit, but they were very popular. So I got into the fashion business. And I owned my company, and we developed and built that company to several millions of dollars a year, and we did that. And after that, I progressed into other brands, okay? Because there was just so long that you're going to wear a pair of pants with a print on them, for crying out loud. So after about 5 years, I decided to get into the true fashion flavor, and so I got, we got the license for the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum, and we started making fashion T-shirts, for the brothers who played and never got paid, we got involved in that. And we did very well with that, better than we did with the pants. And so I'm saying to myself, hey, this could be something, pretty cool for the rest of my life, and I can actually do this. And with that, being humble, not being afraid to learn, not being afraid to dig and ask questions, really elevated my game and elevated my brand. And so, we had goods in the major department stores, Macy's, Federated Group, a lot of sporting goods, Dick's Sporting Goods, Herman's. We were successful. Yep. After that, what do you do after that? Because fashion is it's a thing where it develops. Right. And then, once you come into it, you're going to come out of it someday. Right. I ended up going to figure out and find out how the licensing aspects and the branding aspects of all of this thing works. And so I went to a brand called Beverly Hills Polo Club. And I learned all of these nuances in an international market. And it was the best, for me, advancing my career, were the best four or 5 years that I spent, was learning how to do that, and learning the contractual obligations, and learning the trademarking and all of this stuff. And it was the business side of fashion. Right. And it was really great to learn that on an international basis, okay? Right. Right. So then after that, I went and I did a couple other brands after that. With that knowledge, it really elevated my ability to execute. Gotcha. Yes.
Thanks for that. That was that's a great story, actually. Very inspirational. Now, do you think that working and being a player in the NFL, learning how to practice, developing leadership skills, by being able to compete at that level. Do you think that it all provided you an advantage when it was time to transition into the fashion industry with some of those intangible skill sets that you developed as a pro athlete?
That's a really good question. And the answer to that question really is the camera is on you in the NFL always. So you can't fake the funk. If you're going to be a leader, you got to be the leader because it's on film. And it gave me the wherewithal and the drive. I took that with me. That became part of who I am, you know. I was a captain of the special teams, you know, for 4 years with the Rams. And so you could see that, you know, my guys, they responded to, you know, some leadership, and I was part of that leadership, and we were very, very good. And so with that, you know, came the business acumen and the leadership in your companies and how you had to develop a game plan. You had to watch the film, and then you had to execute. And when you execute, that means you're turning it over into dollars. And so that it was invaluable.
So there's a correlation with what you learned as a pro athlete operating at top tier level, and some of the skill sets and things that you needed to do to be successful as an entrepreneur.
100%, without a doubt. And all the big brands are out there. They're at the shows, like the shows in Magic, which is in Las Vegas, and there's the outdoor retailer, which is down in San Diego, and then there's a New York shows. All shows where major brands are there. You know, all the majors are there.
Gotcha.
And you're hanging with it, and you're watching them and how they do their thing, and you're chipping away at it, gaining ground, and it's really fulfilling. It's not easy work.
Right.
You know, you can't leave that out.
Right.
But there is a strategy, and you have to execute it. You have to have a game plan, and you have to go and play the game.
Right. Yeah. No, I think that's a really great point. And let's go back a little bit about the first brand that you developed, and sort of how that idea was conceptualized. What were the things that you needed to do to get the brand off of the ground? Did you go out? Did you raise money? Who made the designs? Talk to us a little bit about the process you went through to get started once you first transitioned into the fashion industry.
It's a good question again. So you're 2 for 2 on asking these questions because it was really important. You know, it's like I said, I lived out my passion and I lived my dream out. And when you've lived your dream out, and you've dreamt about it ever since you've been a little kid, playing in your backyard, you know, and it's over. I mean, you really go through a change. You basically, you know, you go into a nosedive emotionally. You know, like, what do I do now? And it was just during the time that I was in the gym. I still stayed in the gym, and I looked at people, what they were wearing in the gym. And my mom had always raised us, you know, she was a clothes hound, and she sewed as well. And so it's just something I picked up. So I just connected the dots.
Gotcha.
This is what I know. This is what I love. I love my mom. I know she knows what's up. I know that I can probably see something here in this fitness world where maybe I can, you know, develop something that someone would want to wear. And then I said, man, why don't we just do some pants, man, with a print on them? And I said, people are wearing these gray sweatpants and stuff like that. And there's something out there that's got some flavor to it.
So it was active wear. It was the first selection.
It was active wear, 100%, yes. It was called ego sportswear because you had to have an ego to wear it. You know? Yeah, so ego sportswear was born. That's how it was born. And it was born out of the, you know, desire I was trying to find the next element, the next level. Right. And that's what happened.
Right. That's awesome. So one of the sort of underlying premises of this show is we bring on entrepreneurs and business leaders specifically to ask questions about how they have leveraged innovation to help propel their success in their careers. And what you just described to me sounds like a good use case of that, where you had to transition from one field to another, and you used innovation and thinking outside the box in your entrepreneurial spirit and leadership that you developed from being in the NFL to launch this brand. Now, were there any times when you were launching this brand where you felt discouraged or hit hurdles? And if so, how did you overcome some of those challenges?
I think that the question, the question is a good question, and I want to frame it kind of like this. There's going to be challenges. I was against, my whole attitude was I was a free agent and nobody knew about me, nobody cared about me, and then I busted a 4.27 on them and went running the 40, and all of a sudden they started looking at me. So I always had the attitude that I have to do something that's going to shake somebody and innovate. You used the word innovate. Innovation is the key word with regard to this. I was going to go into this business through activewear and through fitness to offer another level of it. And so we elevated it to a point where nobody had it, but we're going to have it, and I'm the one that's going to bring it to it. And that's what happened. We innovated. And we had people wearing these baggy pants that had prints all over them and wild colors and everything, and they were wearing them and loving them. Now, here's the thing, though. The thing also is, there's also another thing. You have to innovate your way through when that brand is getting tired to some people. That's right. What's the next level? Because everybody's always looking for the next level. That's where the true innovation has to come from. That's right. And innovate to satisfy your target customer, innovate to be in the fashion business, and exciting enough to develop it so that people really love it and they wear it. And when you see your stuff they're wearing your stuff on videos, man, you're like, wow, that's freaking great.
Right.
That's just great. Just love that.
Great point. It reminds me of a quote I actually heard from David Goggins. He's a former Navy SEAL who turned his life around. He was over 400 pounds at one point and wanted to improve himself. They turned him down into Navy SEAL, said, you're overweight, you're too old. He worked hard enough to eventually make it into the SEALs. In any event, he had a quote that I saw the other day where he was talking about once you reach this level of success in your life where you actually dream something, plan for it, you innovate it, and then you attain it, to some degree, that is the point where you need to be the most afraid, because you never stop. You either go forward or backwards. And so bringing up that point about, what you do when your customers or your product life cycle has reached maturity and you have a decision on where you want to pivot. And that is, I think, a great point where innovation comes in. And it sounds like that's exactly what you were doing, whether it was organic, whether it was just natural, or maybe again it stemmed from some of this ability to go out and continuously have to achieve, which was this experience that you absorbed from being in the NFL.
That's exactly right. And being hungry to find the next level to it. Okay, right. There wasn't really a next level to the Ego sportswear pants, because they were what they were. Okay, and if fashion tastes change and people don't want to wear them, they're not going to wear them. But having the hunger to innovate and take it to the next level, what you're doing, to the next level, to the next level. And I work with brands that have been able to do that. And being hungry to maintain your place in the market is the thing that keeps you going, and eating and having that ability to do it. You asked me how I fund it. I did my first business out of my own pocket, and which is and so I felt everything, my failures, my successes. And there were a lot of failures when I first got into it, and it came right out of my pocket. That's where you really find out. That's when the rubber meets the road. So yes, exactly.
It's almost like you find out not only is the idea viable, or is your product viable, your business viable, you find out a lot about yourself.
That's right.
And that is the point where we have to dig deep, find ways to be creative, think outside the box, to push forward. Now, Are there any practical advice or techniques or ideas that you would offer to young entrepreneurs looking to get into fashion and having a hard time starting? Is there any guidance or knowledge you could insert there for those?
The thing that I want to call that is you got to be hungry. Mm-hmm. If you're not hungry, if you're just glad, if you're just hanging out and the world is great, hey, great, everything is going to be great. Mm-hmm. You have to have a hunger to resource, search out, and develop your next goal. Mm-hmm. In our lifetime, we live a life, and I, did something at extremely high level my first time out in the NFL. I can't run anymore. Yeah. I can't do that anymore. And I'm really, it kind of hurts me that I can't do what I used to do, but what it's definitely forced me to do is not be satisfied, but to be hungry. Let me get hungry for the next stage of my life. And it's not easy to transition from your youth to mid to elder. It's not easy to transition because you have to humble yourself. Yeah. Humility is a big part of it, but you gotta make a move and you gotta continue to develop that hunger. If you're not hungry, I could see a guy that's not hungry straight away, and I just really didn't want to work with him. That's about it.
That's about it. Yeah. And then how should these aspiring designers, brand founders, startup leaders, how should they maintain that? Or is this something that's just innate in each individual? Is there a way, to go out and find ways to create that type of hunger to continue to go?
You said the word, create. Mm-hmm. Designers are creative. Fashion people are creative. We want to create. If you stop creating, you might as well go on and take a nap or go ahead and go to sleep, because that's not the business that you're in. The true business that you're in, when you're in, for example, fashion, is the innovation of a certain situation that you're going to innovate and interest people. And you want to throw it at people and see that they gobble it up and eat it up. And that's what you're hungry for. You're hungry for those people accepting what it is that you see as fly, as the next level. You know what I'm saying? That's your confirmation. That's what you're after. That's what you're hungry for. That yes, I can make people happy just by wearing my jackets. Right. That's your.
And that's also adding value to the market.
Absolutely. It's called the Hunger Games, man. If you're not hungry, fashion's not what you want to do, man. If you're not hungry, if you want, go get a 9-to-5, because this is not a 9-to-5 gig. Right.
Well, I think that's a really good response. One, because it's real, it's honest. Yeah. There's no sort of, glossing the experience of what it is to build a fashion brand. Yeah. It's a tough industry, but there's still a lot of opportunity when we can use and sort of follow some of these things that you're talking about, having hunger, being innovative, somewhat tunnel vision. You have to be really focused on what you want to do and go after it with, full force.
I'm a football player.
All times.
I'm a football player. Mm-hmm. I didn't know nothing about anything else. I had a focus for one thing. That's to catch a football or intercept a football or score a touchdown. That's it. Mm-hmm. I had no other mind-blowing innovations in my mind. Mm-hmm. That I make the team, that was it. Yep. And I'm telling you, I was forced, and it was a blessing to get forced to look outside your comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Because the comfort zone, you can easily get your comfort zone, especially on some successes that you've had. Yep. And if you start reading your own newspapers, your own articles, you're drinking your own Kool-Aid, you ain't gonna get very far. Yeah. It's you search it out and you go get it, okay? And be hungry for that next step. That's what you have to be. That's what the real titans of this business are. They're hungry for what's next. Mm-hmm. They don't want to stay on, okay, so they've done this, let's go to the next phase. Mm-hmm. That's why you have great technology companies like that, like Apple and all this. They're not, it was great to have an Apple phone or whatever it is, right? The things that Apple does right now it's way over my head. I can't keep up. That's what keeps it interesting, though. They've got that in spades. Right. Same thing in fashion business.
Gotcha. Now I'm going to get into some more technical questions now. I know we've worked together for some time here. We've have a lot of clients that we help build brands, from sourcing to creating a tech pack to developing an outline, vision, mission statement, all the boilerplate things that they need in a contract, et cetera. So let's just say it's day one, designer has their line, it's ready for the market. What are some ways that designers can effectively put their products in front of buyers? That's a question that I always get.
That's a good question, man, because there are different ways to do it. I did it through primarily the trade show realm of things, okay? So trade shows, fashion trade shows, it came down to as simple as getting on the daggone computer, seeing where these trade shows were, Vegas, New York, Texas. There are different trade shows, San Diego, there's different trade shows that are there for your style of clothing. And you know, they're the Magics, yep. Men's Apparel Guild in California. That's the main one that you really, if you're going to be, you know, in any type of fashion, in men's fashion, you got to do that one. Yep. And then just get used to that, because all the buyers from all around the country come to that show. The big guys, the mom and pops, everybody comes, and you put your stuff out there for them to see, and you hope they stop and take a look and write an order. And that's really how it happens. And you invite people. You have to be hungry for it. You have to know your channel of distribution. That's really, really, really important. What stores do you want to see your goods in? You've got to know that. You've got to do the homework. Right. So once you do that, call them. Right. Ask them, you going to Magic? I stayed on the phone before trade shows. I'm telling you, for days. And I talked to everybody. And that was the thing that made me successful. Is I had a relationship by calling these buyers, their major buyers, throughout my time in doing it, and they had the pen and the paper, and they wrote me huge orders, and that was the bottom line, because I can deliver what they wanted.
But it sounds like you also did the research and the groundwork to make sure that those buyers were going to be at those shows.
Yeah, don't be.
So that increases your chances of success.
Yeah, right, don't be dreaming, thinking that you're just going to, just because you have it.
Just you have to have it, right?
Everybody's going to love it, because that ain't it.
No.
You got to go ahead and be hungry. Same thing.
Walk us through a conversation with a buyer, and the designer has their line. What kind of, obviously each brand or each product is going to have a different sales point. What are some things that are consistent across the board that buyers look for in new brands?
You want the buyer to know what separates you from everybody else in the market. You want them to know what makes you special and different, and not just another one, okay? And you want to make them know that, first of all, your pricing strategy is correct. You're doing it so you'll be able to turn the product. The finish on the goods and the garments, make them understand the quality of what you're putting out there. And don't be afraid about bragging on what you got, because, you have to have all these things. There is, you have a mission when you make a line or develop a line. And your mission statement is something that you give to every buyer that you come through, and you tell them what makes you different. They don't want to know what makes you the same. I don't need another pair of Levi jeans. What makes my denim better than anybody's? Well, because it's soft, it's stretchy, it's got this flavor on the washes. You have to do that and interest them to say, yes, I am going to Magic, and just give me your booth number, and I'll be there at 2 o'clock on Tuesday. That's the money that you're after right there. And so you present yourself as you would present yourself to the market. I always found, and again, being humble is best for me, but I'm definitely going to tell them what it is that makes my stuff have, what the flavor of my things are that really make it special.
Stand out.
Yeah, that stand out, right.
We're kind of getting towards the tail end of the interview here, so I want to ask some specific questions about. So we just went to Magic, this past, what was that, February?
February.
What were some new technologies or new advancements or new innovations in fashion that you observed at the show, or just in general in the last few years that you find exciting?
That's a good question, because it's not that there are new, not necessarily that it shows the technology at the shows, but it shows innovation in color, innovation in what's going to draw somebody to your brand. Yep. Okay, so I've worked with a brand called Pelle Pelle for many years, for 12 years, and they're a leather jacket resource, and they've always been the bling bling leather jacket in the market. They've sold to a specific customer. That's how they started in the inner city, and they expand out into the general public. Now, Pelle is known for their flavor in their jackets, the softness of the hand of their goods, the finish and the jewels on the actual jackets that people and celebrities wear, okay? It's your placement, it's who's wearing it, it's who's doing it. So, it's the presentation when you're at Magic that you put up, whoever it might be, famous influencer. Yeah. Influencers are where it's at right now. And if you don't have the influencer position, you got to get somebody that's going to believe in what you're doing, because that gives credibility to your brand. Right. And so with that, so for Pelle, we have a ton of people in hip hop and R&B and that wear our goods, and athletes, and just, it's ridiculous. So it makes people say, I got to have that. I got it, because my guy that comes into my store wants to wear what Ice-T's wearing, wants to wear whoever it is, doesn't matter. If you got an influencer wearing your gig and you show it and you let them know it, that's going to be a really great advancement of delivering your brand to the public. It really is. Gives you credibility.
Gives you credibility, correct. Any collaborations going on in the market?
There are a lot of collaborations with I won't say who, but I will say that like Pelle we were negotiating a collaboration just to bring knowledge to the public that, these two brands really do well together, and you're introducing two brands on one platform, which is really what you want to do in collabs.
Yeah, that's right.
And so in doing so, you've not only affected your benefits, but you're also bringing that brand that you're doing the collab with up to your level, okay? Right. Or, and that's what you're searching for. You want to reach that level, or that customer that the person that you're doing the collaboration with is good with. Right. So it's all strategic. It's very strategically mastered. Right. Yes.
I think that's the value of co-branding. 100%. Each brand can tap into the other's market
100%.
base.
100%.
If it's done the right way, obviously.
100%.
Any last pieces of advice for a young designer getting started that wants to, have an impact? They don't know a big influencer yet. They don't have $1 million sitting around to get, for marketing or sales allocation. What are some things they can do, to sort of get their foot in the door?
The best thing and the best advice that I can give somebody is, if you don't get excited to wake up in the morning and get right to work and get in it, do something else. Seriously, do something else. If you have the passion, and I call it passion because I was passionate about it. regardless whether it was good, bad, or indifferent news, it didn't matter to me. I was doing what I loved. And I found out football wasn't always easy, bro. You know, I mean, I was known as a hitter, man, so I brought pain, you know what I'm saying? Well, that pain comes back on you when after you retire. Let me just tell you that, okay? But if I didn't wake up every morning loving it, I wouldn't do it. It's the same thing here. You must absolutely, and you've got to be honest with yourself. I am passionate about this. I love it. I'd rather not be doing anything else in the world, for crying out loud, because this is hard work. Let me just say that. It's hard work, but that hard work can be the best thing and the most fun that you've ever had in your life. There's a difference between it being hard and you not liking it, and it being hard and you loving it. It really is important that you love it, man.
Right. And then that way it doesn't actually seem like work.
It's not work at that point. It's just what you do. And you go and have you bring it with you everywhere you go. You're putting your stuff out there every single place you go and everything you do, going to church, going to school, going wherever it is, whatever you do, you're bringing it with you. And it shows, and it will show. And you can't fake the funk, I'm sorry. So if you're not absolutely in love with what you're doing, you know, there's other good jobs. That's okay. No reason to drive yourself crazy. You might not be suited for it. But if you are, you'll know, because you love it that much.
All right, well. Words of wisdom from Ivory Sully.
Be hungry, baby. Be hungry.
All right, thank you so much for coming on.
Always, brother. Always for you, Ben.
All right, well, we want to thank our sponsors. We want to thank Chapman University, of course. We want to thank Clickmo and Angel. We want to thank Cynthia West, our director, and Mario for always being such a great support. And we will see you next time.